I think people in general underestimate the possibilities of artificial intelligence. I try to persuade people to slow down its development and eventually to take control of artificial intelligence. However, this is useless. I've been trying for years. No one seems to understand what can lead to this. I'm really quite close, no, even too close to the advanced achievements related to the development and implementation of artificial intelligence, and it scares the hell out of me. Artificial intelligence is capable of much more than you can imagine, and it's improving at a rapid pace. DeepMind became part of Google in 2014. You could say it operates as a semi-independent subsidiary company of Google. What makes DeepMind unique is that they're totally focused on creating a digital superintelligence and artificial intelligence that's much smarter than any human being on the planet, and I would even say smarter than all humans on Earth combined. The artificial intelligence that this company's developing makes me very worried. DeepMind can beat you at any game, for example at the original games of Atari, the video game and game platform company. The system is superhuman. It plays all games at super speed. We all feed the internet without a single question. We all collectively program artificial intelligence. For example, Google and all the people who connect to it are all one giant cybernetic collective. AI has administered level access to Google's servers to optimize power consumption in data centers. However, this represents a Trojan horse, but one that's been left as if unintentionally. Perhaps someday artificial intelligence will need full control over data centers, so with a small software update, it'll be able to take complete control of the entire Google system, which means it'll be able to do anything. It'll be able to look at all your data and do whatever it wants. It's just definitely going to happen outside of human control. There's another interesting side to this. It's very tempting to use artificial intelligence as a weapon. Yes, it could very well become a weapon. For example, AI can start a war by posting fake news or forging email accounts. Those who think a computer can't get smarter than them are in fact even stupider than they think. This is the era of the transition to serious artificial intelligence. I think the danger will probably be that more people will use it against each other. Yes, that's a big risk. It'll probably be some new technology that'll cause a lot of damage or even death. The first thing I would advise is to pay close attention to the development of artificial intelligence. I think we need to be extremely careful about how we interact with it and use it. And it would also be a good idea to make sure that researchers are not too enthusiastic about the process, because that's what happens sometimes. A scientist can get so enthusiastic about the process of their work that they're not always able to realize the seriousness of the consequences afterwards. In this context, I'm convinced that it's important for public safety that the government keeps a close eye on the development of artificial intelligence and makes sure that it doesn't pose a danger to society. Yes, that's exactly right. If something is a danger to society, there must be some kind of government agency, some kind of regulatory authority. I think everyone would agree that one of the functions of government is to ensure the public good. The government must pay close attention to potential threats to society. AI poses a fundamental risk to the existence of civilization, which is not the case with plane crashes, car accidents, illegal substances, or bad food. It begs another question. Is the government's response rate consistent with the maximum speed of artificial intelligence? There has to be a government body that has some kind of understanding of the situation, think through the problem, and also perform oversight, and later can necessarily confirm that AI is being developed safely. That's extremely important. I think artificial intelligence is much more dangerous than nuclear weapons. No one would offer you or allow anyone to build nuclear warheads if they suddenly wanted to. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it? Mark my words, artificial intelligence is much more dangerous than nuclear weapons. Much more dangerous. So why do we have no regulatory oversight? That's what I call insanity. I think people usually don't like the way regulations work. It's no secret that they work slowly, actually too slowly. So usually something happens first, either some new technology causes serious damage or leads to death altogether, then there's bound to be a ruckus or furor, and then an investigation follows. It'll take at least a few years. Some committee will come to an understanding of the situation. Next, norms and regulations will be drawn up, and finally there will be oversight. Eventually there will be regulations. All this takes many years, but this is the normal course of events. If you look at, say, automobile regulations, how long did it take for seatbelts to be installed? You know, the automobile industry has struggled with seatbelts for, I think, about a decade, successfully fought any seatbelt regulations and laws, even though the numbers were extremely obvious. That is, if you were wearing a seatbelt, you would be less likely to be dead or seriously injured. This is unequivocal, and the industry has successfully fought this for years, and the death toll was already really quite high. Regulators did insist on seatbelts. Nevertheless, such a timeline does not apply to artificial intelligence. You can't take 10 years away from a moment that's already a big threat. It's already very late. What I can suggest is this. Perhaps someone else can suggest an even better approach that will lead to a better result. But what I'm saying is that we need to democratize artificial intelligence technology. And that means that no one, not a company, not a small group of people will have control over advanced technology like AI. It's very dangerous, that's my opinion, if it falls into the wrong hands. Well, for example, an evil dictator or an unfriendly country might send its intelligence service to kidnap it and gain total control. If you have incredibly powerful artificial intelligence technology, then the situation becomes very unstable. It'll happen faster than anyone thinks. It's quite obvious that computer intelligence is becoming much more sophisticated and modernized every year. I really think that we're on a fast track to improving artificial intelligence. And the number of smart people who are developing this artificial intelligence is also growing significantly. If you even look at the audiences of the various artificial intelligence conferences, you're bound to notice that they're doubling every year, with more and more people attending the conferences. I have a relative who's finishing at UC Berkeley. His major is computer science and physics. One day I asked him how many smart students are studying a computer science field like artificial intelligence. The answer was simply, they all are. Most of the movies and TV shows that show all the niceties of artificial intelligence certainly don't portray it quite the way it might actually happen. But I think you just have to think, what would happen, even in the best-case scenario, if artificial intelligence was much smarter than humans? What are we going to do? What kind of jobs will we have if robots replace us? What then will we do about mass unemployment? It'll be a huge social problem. And I think eventually we'll have to introduce some kind of unconditional basic income altogether. I don't think we'll have any choice. I don't see any other choice. The world's basic capital will simply become a necessity. The rate of production of goods will be extremely high, and with automation, production will only increase. Almost everything will become cheaper. I think that in the end, we'll simply introduce unconditional basic income. There's no other way. A much more difficult problem is how many people will find meaning of life if they draw it from their work. This is the so-called problem of meaningfulness. That is, if you don't have a job, if you're not needed, if there's no need for your labor, then what is the meaning of life? So you're no longer relevant? This problem is much more difficult to deal with. And then how can we guarantee that the future will be exactly what we dream of, what we like? However, I think there is a potential way here, which is that to some extent we can actually engage in science fiction and create a symbiosis of biological intelligence and machine intelligence. In some ways, we're already cyborgs. We think of all the digital tools and apps we have on our phones or computers. What about the fact that we can ask a question and get an instant answer on Google and so on? If you die, your digital footprint doesn't go anywhere. All your emails, the pictures you've posted over the years, social media, it'll all still live on, even if you're gone. I believe that over time we'll see a deeper fusion of the biological mind with the digital mind. It's all mostly about traffic, the speed of communication between your brain and your digital extension. We used to use keyboards, but now we enter almost all the information in the phone using our thumbs, but it's very slow. So I think a high-speed interface for the brain would help to achieve a symbiosis between machine intelligence and human intelligence. And maybe it'll help to solve the control and usability problem. That's all, guys. Do you agree with Elon Musk? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you later.